Welcome back, everybody. This is a video that is going to be explaining the system I've been using in the last few weeks. It's called the golden pattern. Basically, it combines two strategies into one: the player, banker, player, player, banker, banker betting pattern strategy with the golden history. So what we do is we need at least 6 hands to have been played, and we're going to follow along with the player, banker, player, player, banker, banker pattern to see where those bets are lined up. And we're going to base our first bet where that pattern is and if it lines up with the golden history, or the history. So we're going 6 hands back in time with the bets. So we're going to just run through this first 6 hands real quick. It's not going to show us what the results are. It'll just tell us if... it won't show us the cards. It'll tell us the results only. So in these first 3 hands, it'd start off with a player. The second bet would be a player. It missed, so it'd be a banker. It's a tie, so it'd be a banker bet again. Banker hits, so now we're back to player. Pattern resets. Now we're back to a banker bet. And now we're back to a player bet because the banker missed. So the pattern right now would be on the player, player, banker, banker part. The previous 6 hands, player is the last hand who wins 6 hands ago, and player is our current bet. So we're going to place a bet. So I'm just going to place a $1 bet. And from here on out, until we hit, we're going to follow the pattern, the history, not the pattern. So the pattern would be a player bet. We're going to go to banker because that's what the pattern, the history tells us. And we win. So let's see. Player, banker. Player, player. Banker, banker, player, player, banker. Okay, so we're the pattern would reset here. The strategy is to go 1 win per column. We hit our win. So this would be a player bet. It's still a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. Banker hits. Now it's a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. And 6 hands ago, banker won. So we're going to bet on banker. It's a tie. Now, in this situation, is our first bet. If the next hand in the history doesn't match up with the current bet, the pattern, we don't bet because it was a tie. In this case, it does. So we're going to bet banker again. And we win. So now we are going to advance. So it'd be a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. Now it's player bet. Still a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. But the first hand up on the column that we're using for the history is a tie. So in this case, we'd go to the hand that previously won, which is a banker. So we can place our bet here, and I'm going to place $1 on banker and let it ride. And we lose. So we're just going to keep following the history. And we can't beat a 9. All right, so we're still on banker. And if you notice, the pattern actually busted. The player, banker, player, player, banker, banker. If you were following that, you would have just lost 6 bets in a row. That's why we use the history to kind of alleviate some of that, even though it doesn't always work. All right, so now we're going to go to a player bet. And we win. So It's most yeah. It's a player. It's a player bet. The pattern has reset. After the loss, would have been back to player, and players hit the last two times. So it's still a player, so we can keep track a little easy here. We're going to deal a free hand. Still a player bet. Still a player bet, which we can bet with it, but I don't like betting on or against streaks this long. Just because I don't feel like it's going to hit. But then, because I feel like that if I place a bet, it probably will hit, even though at the end of the day, every hand in Baccarat has the same odds throughout the entire shoe, no matter what cards have come. So I'm not going to place a bet. I'm going to advance. And I'm glad I didn't. Now it's a banker bet. Now it's a player bet. So right there, we would have lost two in a row had I bet on that. All right, we hit a win. Let's go. Now it's a banker bet. Now it's a player bet. Still a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. We'll go ahead and bet on banker. We lose. Scrolls over. Now it's a player bet. Now it's a banker bet. And we hit. So I think I started this with 67 and change. We're at 71. Probably go for maybe one more win. Let's see where we are in the pattern. So that's all player, player, banker, player, player, banker, player, player, banker, banker, player, banker. It's a banker bet. Now it's a player bet. And we restart the pattern. The banker is top of the column, so we are not going to place our wager yet. Player hits. Player can now and the bets and or the history and the pattern match up. We are at the start of the player pattern, so we bet. And we hit it. So there is a 5.5 unit win on this shoe in this session. I could have easily have done $2 to do it faster. I'm just playing more cautiously, lower risk, just because I've already done this once in the video. Didn't record my audio, so I didn't want to risk it all again just to make a quick video. I was willing to throw away the initial 50, but this time I'm not. So I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, let me know.